everyone, I'm Kealy and this is Voice of a Creative, and today I'm here to do a review of the Samantha dress by Athina Kakou patterns. So I was asked to review this pattern after I applied to do it on Instagram, and Athina sent me the pattern to review, but she has asked us to all be really honest about it, so this will be my honest review of this dress. So the dress itself is a false wrap bodice with an attached skirt. It's a grown-on sleeve, so there is no shoulder seam at all. You don't have to insert a sleeve. There are darts in the front bodice and in the back as well, and then it's a kind of A-line shaped skirt. It's quite floaty and flowy though, so it's more similar to like a half circle skirt type thing. So there's lots of different variations with this pattern. You can have a collar like I have, you can make it without the collar as well. You can make it with just a plain 3/4 sleeve like this, or there is an option for a tie on those as well. There are two different length options and also a tie belt option as well. So I've been having a look on Instagram for a while at all of the Samantha dresses that have been coming up, and actually really liked the look of them. One of the things I like most about it is that it is a jersey pattern and it is quite nice to have a different kind of shape, and I always really like the V-neck created by a wrap dress, so I was really intrigued to make it. One thing I do like is that it isn't a full wrap dress, so when I wear a wrap dress I always get a little bit scared that one of the panels is going to lift up or it's going to gape open, but with this you don't have that worry because it is just a false wrap at the front and then your skirt is just attached by the waist, so I really like that about it in terms of the design. I was a little bit unsure because I don't usually go for grown-on sleeves. I'm always a bit worried about that just in terms of kind of my proportions, but actually I'm really impressed with this and will definitely be trying some more grown-on sleeves in the future. So the one I went for was the shorter length version, but then with the collar, but just not with the waist tie. So I went for that just because I knew that the longer version would probably be a little bit too long on me, as I'm quite short. And also I really liked the idea of the collar detail, which is a little bit different than other dresses that I've made before. And I am becoming a little bit more interested in shirts and blouses and things. And so I thought that this would be a really nice extra detail. I made the size 12. I did think that I would have to grade out for the waist, but I actually ended up taking it in a little bit after I'd made it, so I think it is pretty much true to size. I think it's just I preferred a tighter fit on the bodice and by my waist than the pattern gave me. So I decided to make it in this fabric. So I got this from Fabrics Galore, and this is a cotton jersey, and it's got this really lovely kind of geometric repeating pattern. And I would say that this was quite a good fabric to use, although it's quite it's a medium weight cotton jersey, and actually I would have probably gone for a little bit of a lighter weight jersey, but this pattern requires 2.5 meters of fabric and my normal buy is about 1.5 meters, so I actually didn't have much fabric in my stash that met the requirements of the pattern. So that's definitely something to consider if you're going to make this, is you will probably need that extra bit of fabric, especially if your pattern is directional. Luckily this pattern is symmetrical both ways, so it meant that I could cut things in opposite directions and it didn't matter, it still come together okay. And I actually managed, this is a really wide fabric, but I managed to get it out of a 1.5 meters, which there was a lot of pattern Tetris going on, and actually I've had to piece the back, so the back has 2 pieces. Instead of cutting it on the fold like the pattern suggests, I cut it and then added a centimetre seam allowance, which isn't ideal because I have a seam at the back, but it was the only way I could get it out of fabric that I had in my stash. So moving forward, if I do choose to make another one, which I probably will give this another go, I will be having a look and seeing what fabric to buy for that. I think if it's a wide fabric I could probably get it out of 2 meters according to the pattern, so definitely something to consider with that. Just make sure you've got enough fabric to begin with. Luckily it worked out in my case, but obviously you wouldn't want to get to a point and you couldn't end up cutting out like this band or something like that, because that would be a bit of a nuisance. So adjustments wise, I didn't make any adjustments. I did bring the skirt in slightly just because I thought it would work better in this fabric, but that was only by about 1 inch on the side, just at the bottom part. Otherwise I made it true to the pattern. When I did finish the make, I did take it in again at the sides. So in the pattern instructions, it asks you to construct the bodice and then make the skirt and then join those two pieces together. But actually I prefer not to do that with jersey dress patterns. So I actually constructed the front bodice and stitched it along the bottom, and then the back bodice. And then I attached the front skirt to the front and the back skirt to the back at the waist seam. And then I stitched all the way down the arms and down the side seams. I found this was a lot easier for me because I often find that I need to adjust things at the side, and this makes it a lot easier for you to do this if you needed to. And I'm really glad I did, because I did have to end up adjusting it at the sides, so just to bring it in slightly around my chest. So I was really glad that I did that instead. And if you watch Athina's sew along video, she does suggest this as an alternative method in that video as well. So in terms of the instructions, you get your instruction booklet, and there are illustrations throughout that guide you through. I found these illustrations really helpful, and often if it shows a stitching line or something, it will have a different colour there to show you. The information is really clear, but what I did find a little bit difficult is because you can make the different versions of things. It says version 1 do this, version 2 do this, which I did find a little bit confusing at first, but actually as long as you make sure you know which version you're making, it should be fine. And the only bit I did get stuck on was actually putting the false wrap pieces together, because for some reason mine seemed a lot longer than the skirt that I was trying to attach them to. So I don't know if I made a cutting error there, but I'm not sure that I did, but just beware of that. But actually I watched Athina's sew along video, and actually that really helped me with that. Although I'll show you in a second, I do feel that there's a little bit too much fabric there for me, so I might take that out slightly if I was to make it again. But I think that's more to do with my shoulders being quite narrow as opposed to the pattern. I often have to take kind of width out of things. The dress came together really well, all the notches matched and things like that. I found it really easy to sew together. I followed the instructions in the booklet for use of an overlocker, as I have that now. But you could equally make this if you don't have an overlocker as well. But there are instructions for how to do it with the overlocker in the instruction booklet. As I said, the only problem I had was with this. I'm just going to stand up to show you. So I feel that there's a little bit of bagging here, and that is because I've had to stretch the skirt to attach it to the waist here, and I'm not sure if that's what's supposed to happen or not. I did match it to the notches, but for some reason I've been left with this bagging. So I'm not sure about that, and I'll be looking at that next time to maybe take some fabric out somehow or reduce this band. I do really like the use of this band because actually that really brings the neckline in. There's no interfacing in this, and so actually the way you place that is really good for keeping the neckline together. I certainly won't be having any problems with gaping, and also this fabric, because it's slightly more structured, it's working really well. But I would like to give this pattern a go in a viscose jersey to just see how it would work. And the other detail, I've actually found this quite easy to do. So the collar, you put two pieces together and then they are attached, I can show you, attached underneath the neckband here. So you've got the neckband here, and then the collar is attached underneath, and the collar folds over the neckband, which I didn't quite get at first, but actually it helps it to lie flatter, and also it stands a little bit away from your neck, which I always think is a bit more comfortable. So the shaping around my shoulders is really perfect. It follows the curve well. The pattern pieces I was a little bit shocked by when I got them because I was very confused by the shape that they were. But I just cut out my size and went with it, and actually it's turned out really well. I did take about 1 inch off of the sides down to the waist and then grade it into the skirt, but I think that's just because I wanted a slightly tighter fit on the bodice. or it might be that actually the size 12 was a little bit too big and I needed to go for the smaller size. I do tend to choose a slightly larger size because I do prefer my clothes to be a bit more movable rather than tight fitting. So it didn't take me too long to make. I would say from cutting to actually sewing it together and then doing those final adjustments took me about 3 to 4 hours. I think making it a second time would be a lot quicker, but I was just getting used to the pattern, and also because it was a review, I was trying to read the instructions fully so I could actually give you an honest review. It is always slightly difficult because I could have just gone ahead and sewn it together, but actually there's no point in doing that if you're doing a sewing pattern review, because we actually need to review it properly, because I think that that's fair. So you can see you've got the wrap bodice here. It ends just to the side for me here, and then the collar detail. You can see where I've joined the two pieces at the back. I really did try to match the pattern, but I don't think I quite managed it. And then the darts as well, and then the waist seam. I did have to shorten the waist slightly. I have to do that in every pattern, so I did bring it up slightly just to where I prefer it. My actual waist is more here, but I prefer to wear things just above my waist just because my hips jut out quite quickly. You can see the skirt falls really nicely even in this medium weight fabric, and it is quite swooshy as well. I do feel quite glam in this dress just because of the style of it as well. So I do think I would make another one of these dresses. I actually really like the style. I'd quite like to try the little ties on the sleeves, and even maybe try this in a shorter sleeve version, and again with maybe a viscose jersey, just so that lighter weight jersey. It does recommend medium weight knit fabrics with 30 to 50% stretch, but not anything that's too lightweight. So I'll definitely be really careful about which viscose jersey I choose, because I know I have got some that are super lightweight. But again, I've had some more structured ones recently as well, although they are still a viscose jersey. So I will definitely be trying this again and some of the other versions, and I really do recommend trying this out, especially if you're a beginner and you're looking to try out something new or working into jersey. I think this would really work well for you. Really like the style of it, and definitely the shaping suits me really well, and it's also encouraged me in the future to try some more things with grown-on sleeves, which is always really lovely as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please press the thumbs up and subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Goodbye!